Good afternoon, Madam Chair. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We will start with item 2, approval of the February 23rd, 2026 meeting. Can I have a motion and a second, please, if there are no changes? Okay.
Move approval.
Thank you. And a second?
A second.
Very good. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Going to the information section of the agenda, item 3, update on Regional Transit Coordination Committee, RTCC. And I think Simone is joining us today for this item.
Thank you, Emily. So I do want to go ahead and start off by introducing what the RTCC is. So the Regional Transit Coordination Committee is a group that provides coordination support for transportation organizations, as well as human and health service agencies and other transit providers within our region. We aid in providing a full mobility and access to healthcare, human services, employment, education, and different social and community services. So things like nursing homes, as well as social centers for seniors and people that have mobility difficulties. We also aid in addressing service gaps and duplications throughout the region, and we aim to increase coordination throughout different agencies as well. Our goal is to create a seamless transportation system for people throughout the region that might have mobility challenges and are unable to drive or would prefer other means in getting places. So we work in a 10-county region. These counties comprise of the 6 CAMPO counties, as well as a few others. Those counties are Bastrop, Burnett, Caldwell, Hayes, Travis, and Williamson counties, as well as Blanco, Fayette, Lee, and Llano County. We do have a unique mix-up of rural, urban, and suburban regions as well. We serve a wide number of individuals. Our primary target is older adults, which makes up 12% of the region. We also look at individuals with disabilities, which makes up 6% of the region. We account for youth. This means ages 10 to 17, which is 11% of the region. We look at individuals with low income, which is 13% of the region. We also consider veterans, which is 4% of the region. Individuals with limited English proficiency, which is 12% of the region, as well as zero-car households, which is 10% of the region. And we also aid in helping employment seekers and clients of workforce agencies. We work with a lot of different providers. So we work with public providers, so local bus and rail. This would mean Cap Metro, Round Rock Transit, and San Marcos Transit. We also work with a few paratransit services, so the Office of Mobility Management and Brown Rock Paratransit. We have quite a few volunteer driver organizations, so Chariot, Drive a Senior, and Faith in Action, which did do a merger, as well as Senior Access. And we do have our rural transit providers, so CARTS, Hill Country Transit District. We're working on adding a few more. And we do work with a fair amount of health and human service providers. So this would mean school districts like AISD, Central Texas Food Bank, Texas State University, UT Austin, and other local government agencies. So the main function of the RTCC is updating members on things happening throughout the region. We mainly do this through our quarterly meetings. During our meetings, we like to update members on activities, so we share and vote on any of the work that CAMPO is completing on behalf of the RTCC. So this includes plans, surveys, research, and outreach efforts. We also like to share opportunities for different events, conferences, or funding opportunities that might come up. And we also give members the opportunity to share any projects that they're working on and a chance to introduce their agency if they're maybe new to the RTCC or if they're looking for collaboration with other agencies on special projects. We have quite a few online resources which can be found on the RTCC section of the CAMPO website. The main one is funding resources, so we try to update this information as we find it available with different funding opportunities, webinars that we might host or other agencies might host. And we also guide and execute funding for 5310. We host different meetings and events on our website as well. So all of our quarterly meetings are posted on the website, as well as special meetings or events that are being held throughout the region. And we also have a host of plans, tools, and documents. So the current plan, mission, and bylaws are all on the website. In addition to that, there's an online mapping tool and guides for any special projects that we might have. And I did want to share the mapping tool. I do encourage you to go online and look at it. It's a little tricky to share over Teams, but on our mapping tool, you're able to click the icon next to all of the transit providers, and it'll show you the region which that transit provider covers as far as their transportation services. So if you're ever curious about where something might have coverage, it's a really great tool for that. We also show dialysis centers in the region. So if you want to see what transit services could be provided towards those dialysis centers, this would be a really great tool for that. Some other things that we're working on, we're currently updating our 5-year regionally coordinated transportation, health, and human services plan. This is a toolbox for most of our regional providers. It highlights the goals and strategies for the region, enhances member coordination and collaboration, and provides a guide for new and existing services. So we do share all of our members' information within this plan, as well as the service area for those members. And we talk about the different projects that we'll be working on throughout that 5 years of the plan duration. We're also working on provider profiles. These include agency information, the service area, services provided, and service population. I like to think of this as a phone book, and this will also be available on the CAMPO website. And if your agency is not already a part of the RTCC, feel free to contact me at sven.serhan@campotexas.org, and we can see about making you a member. And our website is also listed below. And I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have about the RTCC.
Awesome. Thank you, Simone. Anyone have any questions? Nope, not seeing anyone. Thank you, Simone, for that helpful information. We'll move to item 4, presentation of the 2027-2031 Transportation Improvement Program. Ryan.
Thank you. If you'll go to the next slide. So this item is to discuss the upcoming 2027 to 2030 Transportation Improvement Program, as well as the spring amendment cycle where we have amendments to the regional transportation plan. I always like to remind everyone about the function of the RTP and the TIP regarding federal funding. There's sort of bookends. So essentially, when the regional transportation plan, if a project within that plan receives a commitment of federal funding, then it's submitted to the Transportation Improvement Program. The approval in the TIP is that required regional authorization for that funding to be released to sponsors. This is for any federal funding that is distributed through the Federal Transit Administration as well as the Federal Highway Administration. And so everyone's familiar that the RTP has a longer horizon. It's adopted every 5 years. We adopted it last year. It's also amended on a regular basis and is required for environmental clearance as well as federal funding eligibility. And then the TIP is the 4-year, has a 4-year horizon. We adopt it every 2 years. It is also amended regularly, and then it is required for federal funding authorization and letting certification. So the public hearing that we're going to have in April at the board meeting will be for the amendments to the RTP as well as the adoption of the upcoming TIP. I do want to clarify that we do not have any amendments to the current TIP, which is the 2025 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Program. That document is cooked at this point. It'll be active until the new one is adopted by and approved by the Federal Highway Administration and FTA. But we currently do not have the amendments to that plan or program, excuse me. If we go to the next slide. So this is a very high level overview of what's in the 27 to 2030 tip. You have a list in your background materials with more detailed information. But essentially there are 32 highway, under the highway listings, there are 32 projects with 6 sponsors, totaling $3.8 billion worth of funding. In the transit side, we have 4 sponsors, 41 projects with close to around $700 million worth of funding. Additionally, which is not listed in the background materials or in the tip, are grouped projects. These are smaller projects whose scope has been approved by FTA and FHWA to not be individually listed. They are still federally funded, and we do review those to make sure they meet the qualifications of being grouped. We have 10 sponsors, but that's an additional $889 million worth of projects. A lot of these are safety and preventative maintenance that include federal funding. So it's not a small group of projects, but just as important, but that also streamlines the approval process for those projects. On the next slide, I'll hand this over to Will to talk about the amendments to the 2050 RTP.
Thanks, Ryan. I know that the text on this slide is a little small, but just a quick description of the 4 regular amendments that we're processing for the 2050 RTP. The first one is US 2, the interchange of US 281 and 71 in Burnett County. This is just a clarification of the description to include frontage roads in the interchange reconstruction. Then we have SH 142 between SH 80 and SH 130. This is updated project description for an illustrative list project. Basically clarifying a 4-lane section rather than 6-lane section. And then we have 2 projects that are new to the illustrative list. So these are not constrained projects, but they are new to the RTP. One is the addition of U-turn channels at on SH 45 escarpment. And then the other is a widening of 4 to 6 lanes on US 290 in Dripping Springs between Roger Hanks and Rob Shelton. So these will all be out for public outreach at the same time as the new tip.
Thank you, Will. On the next slide, you'll just see a visual representation of the new transportation improvement program, as well as the amendments are listed in green as well. So just kind of a visual distribution of the funding that's in the project list. On the next slide, we'll talk about the outreach. I'll hand that over to Joyce.
Thanks, Ryan. So on this slide, you'll see the locations where we're having open house or in-person opportunities to learn more about the new tip. We're actually doing this in coordination with outreach for the regional emission reduction plan. So we'll have that draft as well for the public to consider and ask questions and learn more about at these different events. So we've got 1 in each county. We've got 2 actually in Travis County. We'll be having an open house prior to the board meeting at the April 13th board meeting. So that information will be available during the day. And in addition to the in-person opportunities to learn more and provide comments, those will also be accepted through the online open house, which opened last Monday. So it's been open for a week now. So that is one way to make comments. You can send comments in by email, by mail, and if anyone would like to receive information through the mail along with a postage paid comment card, then they can call the phone number that's on this slide and request that information and that comment card. And the comment period will be open through April 20th, and then we will have those public comments kind of summarized and ready for the TAC to consider for their recommendation, and also have those comments ready for the board as they consider adoption of this new tip later on this spring. And with that, I will hand it back over to Ryan.
Thank you, Joyce. That concludes the presentation, so we'll take questions.
Thank you all. Anybody have any questions? Not seeing any hands. Okay. Thank you. We'll move to item 5. Update on the 2028-2031 call for projects and the 121 applications you all received for this item.
Yeah, we're still working really hard. We do not have the results yet, unfortunately, but we're working diligently. And just wanted to provide a kind of an update on where we are in the process. And yeah, so again, everyone's familiar with this slide here. We're going full throttle into the evaluation process and readiness assessment. If we go to the next slide. What I really wanted to talk about today, because this will probably be the last meeting where we're going to be finalizing the results of the next TAC meeting, but I want to kind of let everyone know how the review process is being administered. I don't think I've addressed that specifically, so I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that. So the application review process, every application that we are reviewing is getting reviewed independently by 9 individuals. We have 3 teams, but we're doing it all independently, which I think is really important to ensure a fair, transparent, and making sure that it's a comprehensive review of every single project. And so we have 3 people on the risk assessment team for each application, 3 individuals doing a benefit evaluation, and then a team of 3 doing the cost benefit analysis on each individual project. And those independent evaluations, once everything is going to be submitted on April 10th, is the final due date for reviews to be completed. We're going to compile everything together, review it, and QA/QC it. We have a smaller team, the recommendation team, where we're going to sit down. This will be actually the day after the next TAC meeting, where we'll sit down and work through those results. And then the final recommendation will then be compiled into a full report for TAC discussion, and then we'll take it back to the Transportation Policy Board for action. On the next slide, I want to talk about how we're going to do readiness. So last year, we basically did your project's ready or it isn't. One thing the readiness assessment team, reviewing these projects, we really thought it would be appropriate to have a more nuanced risk determination framework. And so we put this together, essentially where we've got from low risk to critical risk. And so as we're going through the readiness assessment, just to kind of give you these, I know there's a lot of words on here, but I think it's important to kind of talk about this. A low risk project is something that's basically ready to go. There's no such thing as a no risk project. So low risk is the best an application can get as far as readiness goes. This is a project for, by all means, our readiness assessment team thinks is ready to go and has the lowest risk of having any impacts to its scope, schedule, or budget. Moderate risk, these are projects that have completed the majority of the development process relative to the phase being requested, but they may have 1 or 2 outstanding requirements that still need to be completed. The caveat is that those requirements are low risk. This would be something like perhaps they don't have somebody on staff that has local government project procedure certification yet, but has signed up. Something like that can be addressed relatively quickly. But these are all low risk items that could potentially impact the ability of the project to move forward, all scope, schedule, and budget. But we think they really represent a very minor risk that could be mitigated fairly quickly. Going on from moderate risk is a significant risk category. These are similar to the moderate risk category, whereas the project's completed just about everything that needs to be completed, but the outstanding requirements carry a very significant high risk. So these are projects that will have a high risk. Those outstanding elements are going to, we can pretty much be certain that they're going to impact the ability of the project to move forward. A lot of these would involve, I'll take for an example, utilities. We may have all the utilities identified, but there's no plan in place to get those utilities relocated. Things like that are almost guaranteed to impact the project. We would determine these to be a significant risk. Critical risk is the highest risk factor there is. These are projects that have not completed the majority of the development process. They demonstrated a very extreme risk that they won't be able to move forward. A lot of these are, if it's an incomplete application, we're missing a lot of information, we're going to put those in the critical risk category because there's really nothing to evaluate, or it's just basically a non-responsive application will end up in that category. So as far as our recommendations go, I think we will certainly be comfortable recommending anything that's low risk. We would be comfortable recommending moderate risk with the contingency that the outstanding issues are addressed within a certain time frame as soon as the board should approve it. We will not be recommending anything that's a significant risk, and certainly not anything that's a critical risk. So just that is going to be the determination framework we're going to be using for this project call. And then on the last slide, I really just want to talk about, because this is really kind of the last time we're going to have a discussion before the results are being finalized. Wanted to talk about the foundation of the project recommendation. I haven't really touched on this, and I may have in one of the webinars, but I think there's two things that, in order for a project to be recommended, it's really kind of two key aspects that we have to pay attention to. And I think one, on the project side, you have to have a good project. And a good project is one that has a low risk profile. It's ready for the phase. It has a regional impact, and it has a good cost-effective return on investment. On the flip side of that, you have to have the application, a good application as well. And that looks like a complete form that has provided us all the information that we need. It's clear, it's comprehensive, and it's followed the process that the board has approved, met all the deadlines, and everything's been submitted and is verifiable. So both of those two things have to be true for a project to be recommended. You can have a good project with a bad application. You can have a really good, bad project with a good application, and neither one of those would be recommended. Is having a good project represented accurately in its application. So when y'all see the recommendation, when we come forth with that, it's really those recommendations are going to be meeting these two critical elements. It's really, and that's really, I just wanted to bring that up because I think that's what I always think about when I look at an application. You have to have both of those things for us to be making that recommendation. But that's really it. I just, on the next slide, I just want to talk about where the tax roll is. This is a busy slide with our kind of full detailed schedule, but we are, in week 7 of the review process. We'll be providing a final update on the 27th. That's week 12, and that is the week where we're going to finalize our recommendation. So I'll be able to update you on the 27th with what we have available at that point. But then we'll be releasing the draft list the next Monday after that. That'll go out with the board materials for the May board meeting. And then we'll be coming back on week 15, that's May 18th, for a recommendation on the process. As a financial item, we're just going to be asking for that recommendation that staff has conducted this process according to what has been approved by the policy board, and that y'all support the process, and that it's been initiated appropriately in regards to the recommendation. So with that, I'll take any questions. If anybody has any questions, it's my last slide on that item.
Thank you, Ryan. Anybody have any questions, comments? Really quiet today. I thought there might be some questions on this item.
Right.
Yeah, spring break recovery. Okay. Thank you for that update, Ryan. Report on transportation planning activities.
Last time I checked with everyone, we didn't have anything. I want to double check. Anyone planning activities? No. Why all this sense? Yeah.
Okay. This might be our shortest meeting for the year. Item 7, TAC chair announcements. The next policy board meeting is April 13th at 2, and our next TAC meeting is April 27th at 2. Okay. And with that, we'll go to item 8 and adjourn the meeting at 2:23. Thanks, everybody.